Ladies and gentlemen, friends and rivals, my name is Jared, and with me is my crime-fighting friend, Ian.
That's me.
That sounded so much like a Power Ranger. I wish you'd have done that for the Power Rangers episode.
Whatcha? Pow.
We will be your hosts for the episode. We are honored and grateful that you have joined us at our table. Here at the Game Table Podcast, we take a look at various board, card, and other tabletop games. We give an overview, provide a little insight on how to play, and share some of our thoughts, all in an attempt to give you an idea of how well it would fit for you and your table. But we're not doing that today. Instead, we're heading back over to take a look at Marvel Champions. We reviewed this way back at the beginning of our time together here on this podcast. So if you would like to learn more about the base game, please go check out that episode, because today we are going to take a look at its plethora of expansions, some of our experiences, and just kind of have a discussion about all that is Marvel Champions.
Marvel Champions is a card game that is my favorite game. In Marvel Champions, you get to play my favorite game. While playing Marvel Champions, you get to play one of your favorite heroes while playing my favorite game.
Okay, we get it.
So let's review my favorite game.
Brutal.
As the title suggests, this might or may not be my favorite game.
Wowzers. I think you've alluded to that slightly.
If there's any confusion whatsoever, this game has not changed out of my top one list.
It still holds a 10 for you? Is that what you're saying?
So if you listen back, please do to our original episode. We explain, obviously, how to play this game. It's one of our first ever episodes, honestly. What was it, like only a couple episodes in, I think.
Oh, yes. It was way back in the beginning days.
Yeah. So anyway, I gave it a very high score, the highest that one could give, a 10.10. And
whatever that means. I still don't know what a 10.10 is.
It means it's 100. And so I obviously through the years, we actually played a game of this recently, and finishing that game just reminded me, yeah, this game holds the number one spot for reasons.
Just for reference, it was episode 15.
Oh, wow.
Where we did Marvel Champions. So we were
a little
slowly
bit
working our way in. But if you would like to learn about the base game, that is where you can do that. But today, we're going to do it real different. We're not going to go through how to play. We're not going to really score it at the end. We're just going to kind of have a discussion about all those things that come after the base game. But first, Ian, we have a question.
Yeah.
This episode drops on February 12th. And in theaters, Captain America Brave New World drops on Valentine's Day in just 2 days.
Whoa.
So my first question is, have you prepared appropriately for Valentine's Day?
No.
And are you going to take Julia to see Captain America Brave New World as a Valentine's Day date?
I don't know if it'll be a date of Valentine's Day, but I think we'll probably go. I'll definitely go. I'm excited to see this new Captain America. So, as in the character, obviously, you get to see Falcon become Captain America, which is very cool. And so I like that story that has been progressing. The last time we saw him was in Falcon, or was it called Captain America, or is it called Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Okay. Yeah. Which I thought was an okay series.
Right. Yeah.
It came out during COVID, so I give it a little bit grace. I like the characters. I loved all the characters. I thought the plot was lacking, but overall, characters, excellent. Sure. Baron Zemo, loved it. And then I love Bucky Barnes. I love the Winter Soldier so much in all the movies, all of them. So anytime he can get on screen, I love it. Overall, yeah, I'm excited to see this next kind of phase here.
Sure. Yeah, we'll see how they kind of rebound after a debacle of a phase, whatever phase they're on.
Yeah, it was kind of disappointing, but...
Well, all things can be reset and redone, and winning fixes everything. So, we'll just see what they do.
Yep. That's right.
But I, too, am very excited. We have another couple that we like to go with, and assuming that babysitting can get worked out, we will head over that weekend to go see it with them.
Very good.
And I'm excited. I can't wait to see how they CGI Harrison Ford. And any movie with Giancarlo Esposito is gonna be a good movie.
Nice.
But let's dive into it, my friend.
Yeah.
We have a juggernaut ahead of us.
We do have a juggernaut. And the juggernaut. So,
yes. You like what I did there?
yeah, that was beautiful. Well done.
I thought so.
Yep.
All right. So there's no great way to start this because there's just so much. But
There is 49, I think 48 or 49 expansions.
holy bananas. So this is what I would say to all of you listeners out there who are holding your core Marvel Champions box in hand as you excitedly listen for all the answers about what you should do next. Also, for all you hardcore Marvel Champions fans, I'm sorry, I don't know that I can deliver what you're looking for here. This is more for those just getting into the game. But
we'll still tell you what our favorites are. So maybe if you don't have that one, you could be like, oh, yeah, I'll get that next. Or you can
reach out and tell me how wrong I am.
Yeah,
that's fine too.
I mean, just dispute everything we say because we're
good
novice.
With that. Yeah. But, if you're thinking about what to buy next and you don't have a whole lot, this is what my encouragement would be to you. Find the heroes that you really like, unless they're Valkyrie, and buy those heroes. If you like Valkyrie, I would suggest you just find a different game because she sucks.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. I personally would say, Ian, correct me if I'm wrong here, but each of the kind of campaign boxes are standalone, and you can just kind of pick and choose which one you gravitate towards the most theme.
Yeah. And don't get the Guardians one. But yeah.
Definitely not at first.
Yeah.
You will also hate this game if you start with the Guardians one.
If you want to lose every single game you play, don't buy the Guardians one.
No, do buy the Guardians one if you want to lose every game.
If you do want to die all the time, buy the Guardians box. But I don't recommend that. So
Ronan is coming.
Ronan is coming. Yeah, there's a separate Guardians box. Well, Avengers Guardian, whatever. Anyway, don't buy the Guardians. But yes, there's that.
All right. So we've got all kinds of spoilers already. Let's start with the campaign boxes. Okay. Because I think that's where your most bang for your buck is.
Yeah.
The first one that came out was Rise of Red Skull.
Mm-hmm.
So each of these campaign boxes come with 2 heroes and then a variety of villains.
Usually 5 scenarios.
That's right. So we're just going to kind of list them off. I'm not going to go through every single one because we would be here forever and no one actually wants that. So I'll just kind of list them and then we'll kind of talk about them. Or do you just want to go one by one? What do you want to do?
No, I think for the campaign box, we should talk about them a little bit.
One by one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Do you want to go first?
Yeah. So Rise of Red Skull, obviously it was the first big box. So, you're looking at least as far as history wise, I got into the game, you got into the game as it's coming out. We're purchasing stuff as it's out. There's no villains. We've gone through Rhino 3 billion times. We've destroyed him. He's no threat.
We hate Ultron.
Yeah, we hate Ultron, so we never play him. We just beat up on Rhino. And Rise of Red Skull comes out. The villains inside of Rise of Red Skull are Crossbones, Absorbing Man, Taskmaster, Zola, and then Red Skull. And so then the heroes within the box as well are, correct me if I'm wrong, it's Hawkeye, is that right?
And Spider-Woman,
and Spider-Woman. And so obviously it adds a lot of new complexity to the game, especially core box. So if you've got the core box, this is a great start. I think it's entry level villains. There's not overly complicated, but they add a nice punchiness and it adds new depth to the villains and the heroes that you hadn't seen yet. And so it's like taking a step in that as we go further and further into this, you might be stepping in too far into something that's a little bit more complex than you may want. If you like that, then that's great. But I think the early villains in this box, they add nice little twists to them without being I have to keep track of all 3 different weapons that he's using or this and this and this. It's no, he just does something different than the other core villains did. And so I really like that about especially the first three. I think obviously Absorbing Man, Taskmaster, and Crossbones are those kind of simpler kind of in terms of characters and villains. And then the next two is where it really kind of ramps up. I think the latter half of this, though, the Zola and Red Skull are still incredible villains to play with that aren't overly complex, that they bring a challenge, especially if you play on expert, but are still really fun to play against. I know that sounds crazy, but those two things, simple but fun but hard to beat, are three things that I look for in a villain to add balance to this game, especially for new players. These ones are great, especially all of them, but I really like Zola in my personal.
I would agree.
But Red Skull is great to add this new threat of he just doesn't just hit you with minions and himself. He's very much adding schemes. He's just scheming everything, which is very representational, I think, of Red Skull. He's the mastermind. He's super smart. He's moving around and manipulating pieces. So
yeah, no, I think all that's really well said. One of my favorite things, I have a few things about this box that I really love. I will forever be thankful for Crossbones as the whipping boy for all the new decks that we try out.
That's right.
He is the go-to when I want to just run a deck that I've just built to see if it's worth playing around or not. Spider-Woman is still one of my favorite heroes just because she changed the whole game.
Spider-Woman's cool.
And how you build decks for the first time. I really like getting to navigate that.
Yeah.
And so that was a really cool experience for me. Hawkeye is cool too, in a different way, but I just really like what they decided to do with Spider-Woman, where she can have multiple aspects and they got to be equal amounts. And then there's these interesting combos that come together because of that.
Yeah.
And I really like it. I really like that a lot.
No, I think those are two great early heroes. Spider-Woman honestly just gets better as the game goes on and on and on, because you just have more and more cards for her to pull from. For those that don't know about her abilities, obviously you get, you get all four aspects.
No, it's just two.
Oh, just two? But
yeah,
she has, Warlock. But that's what it is. Her deck has cards that are red, blue, they have all the different styles within her deck already, and then you add two more. So
that's right.
She plays all four play styles all at once, no matter what two you add to her, but she plays all four, which is like super unique, and she gets better as you play more and more cards. So it's very cool. Very cool aspect. And not the deck building. I think that's one of the deck building that does get a little technical, and the more you play the game, you'll get better at it. There's plenty of resources to build decks, so you can always do that. But having fun in building her deck is a whole other level of fun, especially when you know a lot of the cards.
Yep. So I'm going to make this point as we kind of get ready to transition to this next box. The other thing that Rise of Red Skull does really well is every scenario is fun.
Yeah.
Challenging.
Yes.
But fun.
Yes, exactly.
Even within the campaign where it starts manipulating some things, it knows what it needs to be and let you have a good time, let you feel like you can lose. And you can lose. Even Crossbones has beaten us before. It's happened like one time, but he did it.
Yeah.
And so there's a nice balance in this box. I really enjoy it. I would 100% recommend that if you're looking for a campaign box, this is one of the ones to look to.
And I will say, I guess something that we can look at the latter half when we talk about all the boxes that we played is which campaign, because these are campaign boxes, they add a campaign element to it as you get some stuff that help you progress.
That's right.
I think I'll save it for the end of like what your favorite one is, and maybe we can do a little quick side review just to go over it before we mention it. But with this one, you had some like upgrade cards that you get. But we'll go when we're at the end of this. We'll mention what we think our favorite like campaign out of all the boxes, because we'll have a favorite box. But the campaign part, they all do something very different. This one was a little bit simple, but I really enjoyed it. So we'll get to that at the end of all this.
That's right. Next up, a very controversial box. We were so excited. We had finished up Red Skull. We got to deep dive on Spider-Woman and some other cool deck builds, and we were ready to take on the Galaxy. And so next up is Marvel Champions, the Galaxy's Most Wanted, which is the Guardians of the Galaxy expansion. It comes with Rocket and Groot in the box. along with the villains of...
I can name them if you want. I have this up.
Yeah, go ahead.
So your first villain is going to be the Brotherhood of Badoon, followed by the Infiltrate of Museum, which is going to be the Collector.
And that's a two-part.
And it's a two-part set with the Collector. You'll also play Escape the Museum, which is also the Collector. It's just a different version of him. It's not the exact same cards, though. So you are playing two different versions of the Collector. Followed by Nebula, which she is kind of a advocate for Ronan himself, which is going to be the big baddie in this box.
You know, it's so interesting as I think back on our time in this box, Ian, because the first 4 scenarios are actually really fun. I remember thinking that when we ran through it, it was tight. You could feel that it was difficult, but still doable.
I think one of the Collectors is bad. I think it was super easy. Not bad. It was just very easy. Yeah. But the overall, yes, I would agree with you. But I think one of the Collector, I can't remember which one it was, but it was fairly easy to just walk right through.
Right. But like Brotherhood of Badoon had that, you're the opening scenario, so you know what you are. It felt like there were interesting elements that like occasionally it would have you on your toes, but overall, like you're there, like that's your warm up, right?
Yeah.
Then the Collector, it was very interesting and unique and had a different way of playing. Nebula, like she hit hard like you expected her to. I really enjoyed having that fight. Like I think for me, that fight was really balanced and strong and what it was supposed to be for a level 4. In the same way that Zola was, you know, like where it's like, all right, we're going to push you. The next thing that's coming is going to feel even harder. But like this is going to sit in that spot where you're going to sweat a good amount. And I felt like she does that.
Yeah.
But then.
I agree.
But then.
The beatdown.
I have never felt so helpless in a game in my entire life. Ronan the Accuser just comes in and you have turn 1 where you set up and you're like, all right, we're all good here. And then you just get smacked so hard.
Just a beatdown of a lifetime.
And it's every round. Like it's not a lucky flip. It's just a devastating experience.
It never ends. It is the worst beatdown that I have ever had in a game. It is so it's a bloodbath.
It is, especially when you play in true campaign mode.
Yep.
I mean, it feels impossible.
It does feel impossible. So I'm looking at some of these cards. It's insane. Is that Ronan is given his universal weapon, which is his like big hammer, and it increases his attack and defense, or his attack and scheme already by 1. If you're playing on expert, we're talking about a 4/5 with 50 HP. It's insane. And then on top of that, when you play the campaign, which we will definitely discuss, is that it adds another, you have to draw another card during the encounter phase. So you're just getting bombarded by this just disaster. And then also you can discard his weapon, but if it gets boosted or placed at any point it's back on the board. So it's just a beatdown of a lifetime with his hammer, dude. It is so bad. Playing this game in expert, which we play a lot of our games in expert because I consider myself pretty expert at this game.
I'm just along for the ride.
I've gone through in my head so many different ways to beat this guy, and it happened one time, and I'm pretty sure it was just luck because there was nothing tangible that I took from that experience as I did something right.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
This was at a point in the game that everybody was complaining about it being too easy, and so they took that and heard it.
They did. They heard it.
They heard it and said, "Okay, you thought it was too easy. Let's make it impossible." Because the overall campaign, I mean, I think Ronan, the cards, the artwork, I'm looking at these. They feel menacing. So I love it. I love the menacing artwork of Ronan. I think it's super cool.
Oh, dude, I think the artwork across the board in this game is fantastic.
Yes, but I think, they very much fit a theme. And, overall, the Ronan is the one that kind of makes the milk go sour for me. Overall, I think the box is fine. You know, Rocket and Groot can be okay. I think Rocket has more potential than Groot.
I don't know, man. Groot is some of the most fun that I've had playing protection. The aspect of protection.
Yeah.
And I know I've had a much better experience with Groot than you have.
Yeah.
Because of our different play styles, but man, he has been fun to play at times.
Yeah, that's, I think he does have aspects, but overall, I did not like the campaign in this box. I did not like the way they presented it. I think overall it adds good cards to the box, good modular sets and all that fun stuff, but nothing that I would be, just super stoked about. So it is what it is.
Do you think if this box came out later when there were more cards, that it would have been more well received?
Potentially. I don't think it does anything special other than just a beatdown. So,
I mean, hold on though. Like, I know that's easy to say on the back end, but like, we thought this is where the campaign went from, and granted, it's because of what we didn't know what was coming, but it had this, like, in the first box, the campaigns, it's fine. Like, you get a couple of upgrades, whatever. It's not a big deal. In this box, you're getting all kinds of crap and lots of choices.
You do have a lot of choices. That's the one caveat. I didn't particularly love the cards that they're giving you, but I did like the options of cards. I think I like the campaign, the way the campaign helps you in the earlier box and the later boxes. I think they help you more. Where this one, it didn't, for how hard Ronan is, I don't feel like the campaign was helping me enough. That's the only thing. That was one of the things I didn't really like about the campaign in this, is that it wasn't helping me. A lot of the times these campaign, you're getting like cool like weapons and upgrades in these campaign sets. Didn't really.
Because
I felt like I was just picking from kind of like
stuff,
I was just picking from stuff. So
sure, but I think it also laid the groundwork for how the next boxes operated.
That's true.
So that's my. I mean, I don't want to. Again, Ronan like really made me question a lot of things. Like, do I like this game?
Yeah.
Am I a smart person?
Am I?
But overall, I hate hating on this box because it's so close, man. If they had dialed back Ronan just a little bit, I think it's a good box.
Sure. Yeah.
But I would definitely not recommend it to a new person.
Yeah. That's fair.
All right, next up.
Yeah, so I mean the Mad Titans Shadow is the next big box. And so this came out, I don't know if we've been keeping track of the years, but this came out in 2021, so
we have not, but that's fine.
Cool. So your first villain is Ebony Maw. And again, we're fitting into Avengers, Infinity War Endgame right here. We're selling out. And then you have Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive, which is this tower defense scenario. I think that's a very cool scenario. They're working together. They have this, they're both on the board simultaneously, which is something that we'd seen prior, but in very limited capacity. We have Thanos, which pops out. He's here to get his stones and walk away with this thing. You have Hela, which shows up. And then you have Loki as the big baddie in this box, which was a surprise when you're digging through the scenarios, because you're like, Mad Titan Shadow, Thanos is the big baddie. But they surprise you with Thanos being the third in the series, with Hela and Loki kind of taking over this narrative and the story. I thought it was so well done that they just kind of threw that twist in there for you. Because in the end of all this, Loki is the one trying to gain all the Infinity Stones. So I think it's awesome that the way they kind of did a little twist on that, super cool, and how that is presented. The heroes in this box remind me.
This is Spectrum and Adam Warlock that come in this box.
That's right. Adam Warlock is one of my favorites. He is so cool. He is another one kind of like Spider-Woman, where I guess this is a theme that they like to do. He pulls individual cards from all the aspects, as long as he has an equal amount of all the different aspects. He can't have more than one copy, though. He has to have one copy of each. So you kind of pick a lot of different cards that do like some really cool one-time effects, because you're not able to obviously build a deck around like doing the same thing over and over again, but super neat. And then Spectrum. She obviously has these kind of different, I think she had these different abilities that she can kind of flip in and out of.
She had different forms, where she kind of switched back and forth.
And I think honestly back then I didn't know how strong she was, but I think as more cards have come out, she could be fairly strong because there's a lot of cards that work around changing form. And so she could use those to her advantage now that I don't know if there was that many around back then that she could have used.
So here's the thing, buddy.
Oh, no.
I have a hot take.
You don't like this box?
I think both heroes in this box, and this is why I'm saying this, because I know you like Adam Warlock so much. I think they're both very meh.
I would agree.
I just don't care for either one of these heroes.
I like Adam Warlock because of his deck building different things. But overall, like out of strength and like fun to play, it takes a really good deck to build. You have to build a really good deck for him to be decent, where other heroes is not the case. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, I really thought I'd like Adam Warlock because of how much I like Spider-Woman.
Right.
But it was because of the differences. I felt like Spider-Woman was so superior. So then to see Adam Warlock, I was just kind of like, whatever.
Yeah.
But the antithesis of that is I really like the scenarios in this game.
The scenarios are some of the best, in my opinion.
I would agree. Even Ebony Maw, from the get-go.
Oh, perfect.
What a great scenario. He isn't like insanely difficult, but he definitely holds his own.
Oh, yeah.
And he's got a fresh feel to him. He moves quick. And it's very interesting. I really like this first set of scenarios where you get the Thanos crew, and then it kind of shifts to Hela and Loki.
Yeah.
I think Loki is just this slog. And that's what I remember playing it, because Loki's got like all these different like tactics and forms and ways that he plays, and so it's constantly changing, and so it just takes a really long time. But I also felt like he was very not balanced, but he wasn't like, I guess everything was going to feel better after Ronin because you just felt like you came back to reality and you could compete.
They definitely toned it back down, though I did find some of the scenarios pretty challenging.
It was a nice balance, for sure.
I will say one of my favorite things at this box, I love Infinity War and all of these older Marvel movies that revolved around the original characters. And so seeing this box and seeing all these villains that I know, I find Ebony Maw fascinating on screen, along with his abilities in this game are fantastic. Yes, the tower defense between the Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive, also a great scenario.
Love the multi-villain structure.
That was the first time they kind of toyed with that. And so they did a very, very good job with that. And then, you're obviously talking about this Thanos Black Order, these types of villains. Thanos comes out on the board. He's trying to collect the stones. Some of my favorite art is in this box. The way they portray the villains here, obviously the artwork is fantastic. It's very traditional Thanos, not the one, it's just stuff right out of the comics.
Dude, do you remember the first time we found out that Thanos can actually snap in the game and you lose half your deck?
Oh my gosh.
Like that was such a terrifying idea.
Yes.
Just from the get-go.
So he can snap in the game, which is amazing.
It's terrifying.
It's so terrifying. So the first stage of the game, he's finding the Infinity Stones. If he does, he balances the scales. And each player shuffles their discard pile into their deck. Each player removes the top half of their deck from the game rounded down.
It's just gone.
And then you move into... So you just lose half your cards.
And you have no idea what they're going to be.
No idea. And that is him being inevitable.
He is inevitable.
Yes. I don't think we allowed this to happen. Because that first stage has a lot of...
this has definitely happened to us before.
Okay, did it? Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we were close, so anyway. But
I remember feeling like...
I just got my soul ripped away from me.
My, half of me is gone.
Which is so... and as we talk about this game, everybody knows, obviously, it's my favorite game. But the theme... that is brought out in this game, not all the time. I think it is very thematic, and you do feel like the hero you're playing and the villain you're playing, but sometimes it goes to an extra level that is just not done in any other game. And that's this is an experience that is like that, where him snapping, you feel like Thanos just snapped in your game.
There's few schemes that I mean, other than like the game-ending ones, that you're just so terrified for throughout the first half of the game as the Snap.
Yeah, for sure. And as we discussed, there is also the Infinity. So Loki, obviously, you finish out with Loki. Loki has all these different forms that he's kind of like running around and doing different things. Very Loki-like. He's the deceiver, and he's just kind of running around in different places. Hard to hit him. And the one thing I like about this is they added the Infinity Gauntlet as a modular set. So you can add the Infinity Gauntlet. So if you want to give all the Infinity Stones to a villain that you're playing, you can give it to Red Skull. You can give it to whoever. You can give it to Rhino.
Give it
to
was
Rhino.
Very popular.
So you just give them the Gauntlet, and they makes them so much stronger. I think that was an incredibly great idea and well designed, because you're like, okay, hey, what if we just gave this guy the Infinity Gauntlet and he collected all the stones? I think it was so cool. So very, very neat pack. The design space in this is fantastic. I thought the campaign part is also well done. This is the box, Jared. If you remember, there was shawarma that you could put into your deck.
Yeah, you love that.
Yeah, so
that was a campaign card.
It is a campaign card. So
that might be your favorite card.
Shawarma.
You talked about shawarma forever.
Shawarma is such a cool card because obviously the deleted cutscene from the original Avengers was them eating shawarma just quietly. So all I think of is when I see this card of just think of Tony Stark like just eating shawarma. And it's just, yeah, it is cool. And it's a 3 resource card, so obviously it's like super strong. So always a fun time.
That's funny. Yeah. And I think we jumped over Hela, but Hela is really fun as well.
Yeah.
Fits into her theme. And it's interesting, right? Because I think I enjoy Hela more in her when you play her just by herself as opposed to in the campaign.
Yeah.
Because you're so focused on Thanos, and then you have this hard shift to Hela.
Yeah.
And you're just like, it's a little bit jarring, but
it is.
I still like her as a villain and the scenario itself.
Totally.
All right, let's keep going here.
Yeah.
Sinister Motives.
There you go.
And what a time to be alive in Sinister Motives. So our heroes are Spider-Man Miles Morales and Ghost Spider. This is the first box I feel like where both of us...
And that's Gwen Stacy for everybody that doesn't know.
Yes, Gwen Stacy, sorry.
Yeah.
This is the first box that both of us fell in love with the hero that we chose.
Yeah.
And they were very different.
Yeah, they were.
But I really like both of those heroes.
Yeah.
So the villains in this box are Sandman, Venom, Mysterio, the Sinister Six, and then Venom Goblin.
Dude, these villains are good. I'm just thinking about, I know Venom Goblin we'll get to, and I did not like him, but I'm just thinking about the classiness of these villains. Like just if you think, okay, Spider-Man, like that's original hero. These villains just, they bring nostalgia into the game. I think it's so cool.
I would agree. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's because we just know these villains so well, because, I mean, who's not a Spider-Man fan?
Right.
But everything about these hits right. Again, it's one of those boxes where the first 3 hit so well.
Yeah.
I thought the Venom scenario was just top notch.
Oh, it's incredible.
It was so much fun.
Incredible.
Very thematic.
This is another, so we'll talk about this real quickly. The theme is so drawn out in this Venom kit because you have to ring the bells to try and defeat him. Otherwise, like, he's almost unbeatable. Like the theme of that is fantastic. You have to like get some tokens out and try and ring the bell of the bell tower. And as soon as you bell the tower, then you like just wind up a big hit on them like all together.
Yep, that's right.
So cool. So cool. So, and the art on all the Spider-Man stuff is some of my favorite, just period. I know I've already said it like 8 times, but the Spider-Man art is super classy. Looks great.
I also I really went through a phase where I just experimented with protection, the aspect, for a long time. And again, Ghost Spider, Gwen Stacy just really took it to a whole new level.
Yeah.
Love that character. But yeah, so you were talking about the villains.
Yeah.
And
so Mysterio's next after the Venom.
Yes. Because you had Venom and Sandman. Sandman's another one that like knows what he's supposed to be.
Yep.
but I actually feel like of the like leadoff hitters, Sandman does a good job of I'm going to be difficult, but not destroy you.
Totally. Yeah, totally. I think,
and also not be a chump.
I think there's a nice ramp here.
Yes.
Because I think, and I'm going to say this now, the way the theme of the villain and the mechanics work on a villain, Mysterio is my favorite. And the reason why I say that is because Mysterio, if he's putting these illusions, and the way that's represented in the game is he puts his cards into your deck as these like visions. And I think that I think that is incredible. You have deja vu and that's just popping up in your deck. Excellent design. It makes me feel like I'm truly playing against Mysterio. I don't know if he's my favorite villain, like period in the game, but he's definitely, as far as thematic, and I want to feel like I'm playing the villain.
That? Yeah, that makes sense.
It's Mysterio because I actually feel like he's throwing these illusions and stuff at me that I'm seeing, and I'm like, wait, is that real? Is it not real? That's how I feel when I'm playing him. So
sure. So then you have Sinister Six. Your Sinister Six, for those that don't know, is Kraven the Hunter, Electro, Vulture, Scorpion, Doc Ock, and Hobgoblin.
Yeah.
I think this one's too easy for a level 4.
Yeah. It's all right.
I was really disappointed by how easily you and I could game this scenario to where we could kind of manipulate who was the active villain, who we wanted out of the way. Like, I never felt like we were in trouble in this scenario.
So the issue that comes across, I think, when any scenario that does have multiple characters is that you can game it a little bit and kind of really manipulate the villain in your own way. Where if it's just a villain that's doing a lot of different things, then it's a little bit harder to try and control. Where this, it's like, okay, this guy's good at scheming, we'll just stay in hero form. Or if this guy's good at attacking, maybe we'll flip down more. So yeah, you can game it. You can game it more. I like the idea of the Sinister Six. I think it's fine. I think they didn't hang around the Spider-Man universe very long, so I understand. I would have preferred to see maybe a Dr. Octopus deck for himself, and maybe a Vulture. But again, they didn't really hang around the Spider-Man stuff after this. So I get the kind of, okay, well, let's just do the Sinister Six because they're all part of it anyway. So I get it. Would have liked to see them have their own decks, but it's okay.
It's all right. I'm not a big fan of it, but it is cool to see all those different villains as well.
Then you get to see Venom Goblin, who's just a pain.
Yeah, so Venom Goblin's really interesting, right? Because unlike Ronan, like you feel like at first like it's doable and not impossible.
Right.
But if he gets his glider, it's so over.
The glider is rough.
Yeah. I think my only critique of Venom Goblin, honestly, is that he's a little swingy because there's times where the way he hits is just, it makes it feel impossible. And then there's times where either his glider doesn't come out or you can manage it well and he feels fine. Like he's a good number 5, but nothing insane. So if you're okay with that, then I think it's an enjoyable scenario because it is difficult and it fits that level 5, but it's not so impossible that you can't do it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think overall, though, I think the campaign was fun.
Yeah.
They had this kind of thematic thing where you're Miles Morales kind of like fighting through the city and you kind of get these bad publicity things. So you get like a smear campaign or this public outcry and like stuff like this that like, it's like, again, it's like the media talking bad about Spider-Man, which is so funny because you've got the Daily Bugle probably doing that. Super thematic box. I really, really liked it. And then you also got all these different attachments that you got to put onto your heroes, which is really cool. Really neat cards as well. You also got the symbiotic suit, which you could put on any game. So if you want to
that was wild.
You can put the symbiotic suit on anybody. So overall, I think this campaign is very well done. I think all of the encounter sets that they added were really cool. You could add the Sinister Assault, which added all of them, but you could add them into any scenario. So you could add the Sinister Six into Rhinos or into Thanos. That's right. So you could add those 6 villains into another deck, which is obviously, I love it when they do stuff like that. So you get to see Dr. Octopus more. So pretty neat. Overall, I think it was a good box. I did enjoy that one.
Oh yeah, no, it's not a bad box by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah. It's a really good one. It was really good.
Yeah, and the heroes were good. So positive there.
Oh, the heroes were great. I love. Yeah. Both of them were great. All right, so now we transition into X-Men.
Yeah.
Everyone wants a good X-Men group.
Totally.
So the box, you get 3 X-Men campaign boxes.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
First up is Mutant Genesis.
Yep.
Where you get Shadowcat and Colossus.
Yep.
And you face off against Sabretooth, Project Wide Awake, which is the Sentinels.
Mm-hmm.
Master Mold.
Yep.
The Mansion Attack. And then finally, Magneto.
Yep. I would say overall, my initial, again, I don't think, I'm going to speak for both of us. I don't think we're both as much of an X-Men over the original Marvel characters. But with that, I think this box is solid. I think the villains, I think the Sentinels are the ones that I like the most, is because you did feel like they were really coming to kill you. I don't know. Obviously, the Sentinel is like, it's the main villain. And so they're trying to abduct the, X-Men's of some kind. And so you really did feel like you were being targeted throughout the scenario and manipulated, and it was kind of a very neat scenario in my opinion, where the others, Magneto is also very strong as well, but I think the other ones. I was going to say,
man, to me, Magneto was the only memorable villain from this box.
Yeah.
Even looking back through, I was like, these are all fine, but Magneto really hits it out of the park, in my opinion. It's a really strong level 5 villain that it is a challenge, and you're going to have to grind a little bit, but it really, I think it sings really well for the challenge that it is. And I felt the whole time like I was really fighting Magneto.
Yeah.
Like I was like, they have nailed the theme and the narrative of this villain, and I feel every card feels like I'm playing against him, and it all really makes sense. I think that was an absolute win. The box, he is worth the box all by himself to have that scenario.
I might agree with you on that. I think the theme of the Sentinels is obviously cool, but I think the Sentinel like magic in the box ramps up to Magneto being the best scenario.
Right.
I think the Sentinels is a cool scenario, but I think it is only magnified by by Magneto, because his scenario does so much more than you really didn't see. It has these like multi-stages, and he's very, very, very strong, but he has a bunch of side schemes that are all about a story of like this boarding party trying to get up to him, and it's like this whole process to try and get to him. And I think that's really cool.
But yeah, I mean, again, like you said, we're not X-Men like junkies.
Right.
So we're going to kind of maybe fall off here a little bit with this one, but
yeah,
I think the heroes are fine. Again, like
they're okay.
They're okay.
They're okay. But they can be strong. But yeah, Magneto is definitely the best thing in the box. I think he's excellent.
Yep. So again, 100% worth it.
Yeah.
Just for him.
Yeah, totally.
Next up, Next Evolution, which is the second of the 3 in the X-Men series.
Yeah. So you have the heroes are Cable, which is he's very cool, and then you've also got a Domino. I don't know much about those 2 characters. I haven't played a lot of them, to be perfectly honest. So
I really like Domino. I've played Domino a little bit, and she has a lot of deck manipulation, which I'm a big fan of. And so I think that she was definitely unique. And the other thing that she does is her wilds count as double. Okay,
that's right. Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
And so she added a little bit of a unique take on the game, which I really liked.
Yeah, that's cool. I haven't played much first, so again, not Don't much about her, so I was willing to give it a try, but I haven't gotten to it. The villains are the Morlock Siege, which is a group of misfits. The Arclight, Blockbuster, Chimera, Grey Crow, and Riptide. Oh, and there's also Vertigo. Sorry. So you have a nice little group of terrorists, I guess. I don't know. You have On the Run, which is going to be basically one of those that I mentioned. They're going to capture, I think, Hope Summers,
Yep.
and take them, and then you fight just that one in the next one. So it's a nice little, that's actually kind of a cool little thing where you get to, your campaign always changes because you might not play the same one. So
Sure.
Kind of neat there. Juggernaut is the one that you get to play next, which who doesn't love big old Juggernaut? Mr. Sinister is the fourth piece in the puzzle, who is a very fascinating villain, to be perfectly honest. I don't know much about him, but it was fun to kind of play through this campaign. And then Strife, which is going to be your big baddie in this one, and he is a pain. Oh gosh, very fascinating group. I don't know much about X-Men, so it was very fun to kind of learn about them through this campaign.
That's true. One of the things we mentioned in the base box and continues to be the case as we go through all these is that I really enjoy learning about these different characters, because I'm not a deep comic junkie. And so there are a lot of them that I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't know much about this, but it's fun to play against them. And then I might go back and look up more about them later.
Right.
For this box, I don't know that anybody was particularly challenging. I think they were okay.
I thought Strife was annoying.
Yeah.
Maybe not challenging, but annoying.
That's really what it was, right? Like, yeah. I mean, I have to measure against like other boxes that we've done, and I don't think we really felt like we were sweating in this campaign the way that we have been in past ones.
Right.
So I think it was fine. I'm still enjoying them, and I don't know, man. Like, I wonder if, and this is why I suggest so strongly that you pick out the stuff that you like and do that first, because like we're going through the X-Men boxes, but I don't have the same draw to it as I did with all the Avengers stuff. So I don't know. I mean, and what we're about to mention, like, we haven't even bought the last X-Men box yet, but then we're both talking about pre-ordering the one after that because it's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So I just think that it's really important that you focus on what you think you're going to enjoy. If you love X-Men, there's lots of content for it.
Yeah, totally. The overall campaign I thought was lackluster in this. I felt like the cards were good, but you only got like one of them, and it helped, super helpful. Like, it was like, you could like put an upgrade out, but then it was like, it kind of like disappeared, It's like, okay, it helped me at the beginning of the game, but that was it,
Right.
So I didn't love the campaign. I thought Mr. Sinister was my favorite to play against in that. Moving on to Age of Apocalypse, which we have not played. Well, I guess we'll preface that, but your heroes are Bishop and Magic. The villains are Eunice, 4 horsemen of the Apocalypse, obviously. You get to play Apocalypse twice.
Oh.
I think that's it. Hold on, let me make sure I'm not missing something.
No, you've got Dark Beast as well.
Dark Beast, okay. There he is. He's in between.
Yeah.
So you play Apocalypse 1, and then you play Dark Beast, and then you play the Apocalypse and Sabanur, which I don't know who that is, but that's what it's saying on my thing. But what I see from this, though, is that there is a double-sized card of Apocalypse, which is super, super dope. So he gets like massive. So that's crazy. That's pretty neat. I'm not gonna. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It also gives you standard 3.
Whoa.
So there's that.
There is that. So I'm curious of how that plays. But anyway, not really any other. Yeah, I don't know what else to say beyond that because we haven't played it. So
I think you and I will pick this up. We just have gone slower with it because we're not as drawn to it.
Yeah, it seems like there is a new mission system here that would be very cool. So yes, it's next on the list. There's also standard 3, which is obviously great. So
Always fun to have new standards to play with. Standard 2 really ramps up, so I'm curious what they do with Standard 3.
So it looks like instead of adding Shadows of the Past, they add Pursued by the Past, which is an environment. After you flip to this side, find your nemesis and put him in, and reveal it. So it just puts your nemesis into play.
It's timing. It's almost guaranteeing it, right? Instead of you can avoid Shadows of the Past if it gets flipped.
No, it just puts your nemesis into play to start the game. You're being chased by it.
Love that. More villains.
Yeah, which I think is a great thing, especially for Apocalypse, because Apocalypse has this way of kind of manipulating time and flipping back through time. So super neat.
All right, and then obviously Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is due out first quarter of this year. It's going to have Maria Hill and Nick Fury in it as the heroes. I'm very excited for this box. I love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I love all things S.H.I.E.L.D. related. I really enjoy getting it back down to that ground level in a way. So we'll see what they decide to do, because you've got a lot of heroes right now that fit in that like cosmic power space. And so how do you give this box the feeling of being at ground level, but still being able to ramp with all the power levels that you've given out so far?
Yeah, so the villains are going to be Black Widow, Badrock, MODOK, and the Thunderbolts. And then I think there's one that they're not saying. So I think that's really, really cool. Maybe there's a double MODOK. That's also a potential.
Man, I hope they get the Thunderbolts right.
There is part of the campaign that there's this kind of like evidence system happening. So I don't know where they're taking this. It seems very fascinating. Yeah, really cool. This is going to be a very interesting, a fascinating expansion. Obviously, the Maria Hill, Nick Fury combo, they're some of the first allies to come out of this game. They were literally in the core box. So to be able to come back full circle and to play these characters, I think it is going to be so cool.
I'm very excited. I think we've all been clamoring for a Nick Fury character.
Absolutely.
Since Wave 1.
So since we're talking about Wave 1, you want to just quickly go over what was in?
Yeah, so we're going to list the heroes for each wave, and then we'll each pick one to talk about. How's that sound?
Cool.
So Wave 1, Captain America, Miss Marvel, Thor, Black Widow, Doctor Strange, and Hulk. Which one do you want?
I'll take Miss Marvel. So Miss Marvel was, out of all these original, obviously, heroes, she was able to play a card twice, basically. As part of her like original kick. And this is, every hero has their unique stuff, but this was something that you hadn't seen, this kind of like little combo. Everybody has their own things, but this type of combo hadn't been done yet. I fell in love with, this is another thing. I knew nothing about Miss Marvel. And so that's why I was like, the X-Men kind of surprised me, because I'm like, I'm not playing, I don't want to play any new characters, where Miss Marvel, I was like, oh yeah, I would love to play her. She sounds awesome. This is one of the original heroes I did fall in love with. I loved her setup. I still like it. It's great. Being able to just combo this double system of playing a card twice is so cool. And there's so many endless combinations that I played through. And I loved, she had family members that she added. So she'd have like 8 supports out. Super thematic to her character and her lore, which I found out as playing her. She's very much about her family and history. And so you get all these little family members to come help you fighting crime. So it's super, super cool. So obviously one of these original characters that came out in the original core wave that really added a lot to the game. And I think that it was a core structure that eventually shows up in other characters as well.
So I'll mention Black Widow because I really like the way that Black Widow is this unique hero where if you build your deck right, you can spend 85% of the game in alter ego and you're just managing the board.
Exactly.
Like, and I always thought that was such a cool thing to do because it's such an antithesis to what most heroes do.
Any of the ones prior. I mean,
oh, definitely. But even thinking back, like thinking through the list, like there's so few that just want to sit there and alter ego.
Maybe
and she
3, maybe.
Yeah.
And they're all fun to play, but yeah.
I really enjoy her kit, and I enjoy that aspect of playing her where I can just know that I'm going to control the scenario and let other people jump in and hit hard. I really enjoy that aspect. Yeah. And so for me, Black Widow just brings a very unique take for that.
Totally. No, I agree. And I think I will say, I guess out of the All Wave one, me and you would both recommend Captain America as obviously one of the best.
Captain America should be your first hero unless you hate Captain America.
It should be one of the best, followed by Doctor Strange. But Hulk is one to stay. If you really like Hulk and you want to try to be a difficult hero to play, you could try Hulk. But overall, a lot of
Hulk and Thor both struggle from a similar problem of just not having enough cards versus the way they're built.
Yeah. So unfortunately, they're not the best of the heroes. But Captain America,
they do get better.
They do
with later additions. But as you're building, All right, Wave 2 has Ant-Man, Wasp, Quicksilver, and Scarlet Witch.
Nice.
What a wave.
That was a solid 4 hero wave. I'll let you go first this time.
Okay. I think I want to take Quicksilver.
Okay.
So when I first started playing this game, Ian would preach to me over and over and over and over again about how I had to build. And I had to build and I had to build. And I took Quicksilver and I said, not today. Today, I just get to run fast and I get to punch things. And it's just, we're going to go as quick as we can. And I actually enjoy playing that way. I don't like having to sit back and build as my favorite way. I have learned how to do it. I've grown.
You have.
But Quicksilver was such a fun character to play because he just goes so fast.
Yep. He is fun. I was gonna take him if you didn't, because he literally just goes fast. He just has stuff that readies him, and he just goes. He just hits.
Exactly. And what's cool is he can build a little bit, if you need to do that. But the fact that he hits so hard right out of the gate
and
is just awesome.
all his cards are just ready, and then you swing again. There you go. Boom,
That's
boom,
it.
boom.
Yep.
So the opposite of just going is just hitting is Scarlet Witch, which is building only.
For days.
For days. Now this, I don't know if they timed this right, but this came out I swear. Let's see, what year was this? 1 second.
2021.
Yeah. Okay. So we're talking literally as WandaVision's coming out, and it made me it just fall in love. I love WandaVision, but being able to play Scarlet Witch right around this time was awesome. She has all these. She just has spells and just all these different things she's throwing onto the villain. She plays phenomenally. Both of those characters are great. Ant-Man and the Wasp are also great. This is a great. Wave 2 was fantastic. Everything. If you just want to get one wave, I might say Wave 2 was almost perfect.
Ooh.
Because the box is also great.
Ant-Man and the Wasp are also awesome.
And there's also a scenario pack in there mixed in, which is also amazing.
Interesting. I will reflect on that as we continue.
Yeah.
All right, Wave 3.
Yeah.
Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, and Venom.
All right, well, I'm going to take Venom.
Big shock.
So Venom's one of my favorite characters, period. So he has 2 weapons, and this is not the Venom that this is the Venom from the Guardians universe. So basically, he gets multiple weapons that he gets to use, and his character name is Flash Thompson. So it's this kind of weird universe with the Guardians. There's a lot of lore behind it. But anyway, he runs around, and he's technically, I think, Agent Venom is technically, I think, what his character really is called. But anyway, he has these weapons, and he's running around shooting people with these weapons. He has a multi-gun. He has Venom's pistols, and he's running with multiple guns. And what he gets to do is he gets to use his spider sense that he has to cancel what the villain is doing. And so the original Spider-Man in the core box has a very similar aspect, and this one is also fantastic. Any type of spider tactic stuff, great. With all that, being able to use the different weapons and trigger them all, there's so many combos that I've ran. I've probably ran this deck more than anybody in different combinations of. It is just my gosh, it was just so fun when you're just triggering all these weapons to go, and then you do it again for a second time because there's a way to use all your guns, ready them all, reuse them again. I mean, I've removed 20 threat and 20 damage all in one turn multiple times. So
you went through a kick where this was all you played.
This hero is incredibly well designed.
See, it's this wave is so interesting because I had a lot of fun with Star-Lord, Gamora, and Drax.
Fascinating.
You said Wave 2 might be the go-to wave. I think Wave 3 is so fun and so unique.
See, I think they're okay, but yeah, I didn't like them as much. The only one I liked Venom, so
Interesting.
I do like the classiness. Obviously, it's all the Guardians. Like, you get all the Guardians, which I think is awesome.
That's right.
So I do like that. I like, you could buy the box and then all the hero. You have you have all the Guardians.
You got the whole Guardian. Yeah, that's true.
So very cool.
But so Gamora is just this straightforward hack and slash, really easy to learn character. Drax has this unique take on protection where he is protecting, but he wants to take damage so that he can smack you back. Yeah. And then Star-Lord. Blessed Star-Lord. I read his description when he was being previewed, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to like this. There's no way. But then I tried him out, and
he is cool.
Ian, I love the gamble of Star-Lord, of I'm going to get all this cool stuff, and in return, the game's going to throw a whole bunch of extra encounter cards at me, and we've just got to deal with those consequences. But I love it. I had so much fun playing Star-Lord, and the uniqueness of getting his pistols out and trying to make it all work together. And then those big turns when that gamble really paid off.
No, he's cool because you, for those who don't know, you take a bunch of encounter cards, and that obviously will hurt you at some point, but it also makes you really strong for his turns.
You don't worry about that. You don't worry about that for right now.
You're just wheeling and dealing, baby. Wheeling and dealing. So
that's tomorrow's problem.
It's a solid. No, it's a solid kit. I liked the heroes. It didn't fit into my playstyle as well, but they are solid.
Yeah, that's true. That makes sense. He was definitely built more for how I like to play than you. That's for sure. Okay.
So we got cycle 4.
Yep.
So Nebula, so the last kind of Guardian of the pack, but she kind of fits into the Mad Shadow box, so that's why they kind of did that. Then you have War Machine, Valkyrie, and Vision, which are your heroes. So I'll let you go there.
You're gonna let me go first?
Yeah, you can take Valkyrie.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to do that. So I really liked Nebula. Nebula was a surprise a little bit. I wasn't sure. They announced this wave, and this is what makes it so sad. I thought Valkyrie was going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I really did. And I was really excited about it. But then Nebula came out first. So I got to try that. Nebula takes this unique take on... So like Iron Man and some of the other characters that have to build their armor have that like build it up through the game that you're playing scenario. And I didn't really care for those. But Nebula has techniques, and it's the same kind of concept, but she has her own spin on it. And I just found myself wanting to play Nebula more and more because she felt so unique to the other play styles that I've played. And she also hit like it was one of those things where it was a really delicate balance. And I think Nebula was the first one that really challenged my deck building since Spider-Woman. And I was really drawn into that because of that complication.
Yeah,
so of this wave, Nebula was definitely the one.
You built a lot. It was very cool to see. Vision is one of my favorites from this area. I think basically he basically can walk through people, phase, which is very representational of the game. He's able to do that and basically take like no damage. So some of the ways he does that is really cool. He can just phase in and out and basically be undamageable. And then he plays really well at defense as well. So it's stuff that I like. New twist adds new things to that. Very much also came out. Obviously, WandaVision's finishing up a little bit before this, but still being able to play the Vision to the Wanda, they play well together. There it is. So lots of fun.
All right, Wave 5. Ooh. Nova, Ironheart, Spider-Ham, and SP//DR.
I said the other series was really good. It was my favorite. I don't know. This one's really good too.
This
one
wave.
Is really good. All of I don't even know, man. These heroes are fantastic. Nova, I actually played. Absolutely amazing. Very, very strong. Ironheart.
I think
awesome.
If I hadn't gotten Nova, you would have skipped
Probably.
him. Just think about that.
Probably, I know. But I ended up getting him and Ironheart. Ironheart is awesome. Awesome. Spider-Ham. I'm going to go with Spider-Ham, though, because I know you'll probably take one of the two other. So Spider-Ham is this like just absolute joke of a character that they just sell into. His name's Peter Porker. And basically, there are specific cards that like require you to basically just say stupid stuff like a cartoon would. Here you go. So it's a 0 cost card. It says stick your tongue out at the villain. then the villain attacks you, and then you get to draw 3 cards. So it is so funny to me. I think it's awesome. All of his cards are like super cheap. Honestly, I think he's a little OP, but I mean, his cards are cracked, and he only costs like 0 to 1 cost. Plus, he has all the resources in the world. So I think this was a little bit of like, hey, let's make a comic book character that like basically is just so much fun to play and is probably a little overpowered, but we don't care.
See, that's funny because that's how I felt about Nova. Nova felt like this cracked character.
I think they all are, to be honest. I really do.
Well, but it was so fun in the way that it was cracked, right? Like, I usually don't like playing overpowered characters. Like, you would talk all the time about how much you enjoy Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And I remember texting you and be like, I just don't care. Like, I'm not into it. But these, like, have felt super fun.
The combos are insane.
Nova, that's what I was going to say. Nova just creates all these different combos. And he has, like, a lot of his cards will double the wild resource and also do another thing. And so there's just all this creativity that goes into his deck. I really enjoyed Nova a lot. I think he's super fun.
Ironheart was great as well, trying to upgrade your suit.
Oh, yeah.
And then the SPDR is also, I had a lot of fun with that one as well. They're all good. I agree.
All 4 of these are really good.
All the cards that come with them are great. So,
and the other thing Nova's got is he's got wild resources that don't count towards your hand limit.
Yeah.
Which is nuts.
It's a great set. I might take it back, but I'm going to stick to my original guns on the original set. But this set's really good. Man. So
I think Wave 2 at the time was like such a cool, innovative thing. But Wave 5 is so good.
I think the most complete set for definitely newer players is Wave 2. But for like somebody that's been playing a while, I think this set is definitely the most complete set. A lot of creativity. And then the box is great.
That's so interesting. We'll get to this in a second. All right, let's keep going. Wave 6. Big wave. It is
a big wave.
They went all in on X-Men here at the beginning of that cycle. Cyclops, Phoenix, Wolverine, Storm, Gambit, and Rogue.
I'm gonna tie 2 together here because I think Wolverine and Gambit are some of my favorite played games that I have played. We talked about one Wolverine being super thematic. He can just take endless damage and just heal it right.
He really can.
He literally can stay in hero mode the entire game and just take it and then deal it back. It is awesome. One of my favorite characters to play with. The way that style is so cool. The opposite of that is Gambit, who can play an alter ego the entire game. So you have a hero that is only in hero form, and then Gambit, who is only in alter ego. I played an entire game in alter ego, only flipping up to just hit and then drop right back down, but do everything else in alter ego. Gambit could do it. I think it is so cool. I love that. I think it's great. But Wolverine, obviously, he's just flailing, just knocking down guys, dealing damage, has no threat control, just does damage. Where Gambit is a lot more balanced, but he's also very fun to play because you're doing this kind of spy work. You know, you're really kind of hidden under the shadows doing the spy work, removing stuff, dealing damage, and he can manipulate his damage in a lot of ways. He can spread it out, which is always a positive.
So for me, I'm torn because Cyclops really brought me back into the leadership aspect, and I had a lot of fun with it.
He brought a lot of good cards.
But he did. But man, Phoenix. So the whole reason this game stuck for me to begin with is I played as Spider-Man first, and in that first game, I finished, and I thought, holy crap, I actually just played Spider-Man, and it felt like it. And Phoenix and Jean Grey, like I feel like I'm playing that character again.
Yeah, that's true.
Everything from I can remove these tokens to gain extra resources, but by doing that, I'm losing control. And eventually I'm going to just have this massive problem if I lose all the way control, which you got to really balance. It's I love it. And she is so strong and punches super hard. I really enjoy her deck a lot.
Yeah. All of these are pretty solid.
Yeah, it's true. Wave 6 felt really strong. But, all right, Wave 7, I'll bow out on because I haven't played any of these, but you have played Deadpool. So Wave 7 is Psylocke, Angel, X-23, which gets a lot of love, and Deadpool.
Deadpool, yeah, I haven't played any other ones, but Deadpool, obviously, it's kind of another Spider-Ham goofy character that adds a lot of just crazy shenanigans. He's just super OP, to be honest. But what I really like is when you play as Deadpool, you have to add the Dreadpool stuff to the main scheme. So because he's so strong, you're adding these like really annoying Deadpool like, alternate universe characters into the deck. So you're fighting cards from yourself or different versions of yourself, and so it's a very neat little tag onto this character of Deadpool. So if you watch the most recent Deadpool movie, then just imagine that as a character, and there you go. So yeah.
Yep, very much so. All right, and then wave 8 is Iceman, Jubilee, Nightcrawler, and Magneto.
Yeah. I haven't played all of them, but I have played Nightcrawler, and Nightcrawler is amazing. Nightcrawler, I think, is the best protection hero that there is.
Whoa, that's high praise.
So there's been a lot of characters that they really target towards protection, but the way that he can do it, the issue with protection a lot of times is that you have to exhaust and make yourself vulnerable for another hit, and then you have to hope that you do enough defense to ready back up. You have a lot of cards that ready you if you don't, deal enough damage, or you can target the attack and so on. But the way the Nightcrawler gets around that is that he has this BAMF card that teleports him to basically help defend and block, but he doesn't have to exhaust. That is an absolute game changer. That is the main issue with protection that he just completely ignores. And so you can then play all the protection cards as normal, but not ever worry about readying. And then you can you can block for yourself, block for everybody else. You can block for everything and take like no damage. In the game that we played, I was blocking my own hits plus some of Jared's. And then I was also dealing 10 damage on the villain's turn.
It was nuts.
Along with being able to do stuff on my turn. That's the other thing about the protection that can be frustrating. Is like you do everything on the villain's turn, then you don't get a turn. I was doing stuff on the villain's turn along with dealing excess damage on the villain's turn. His kit is awesome. It made me fall in love with protection. So
I will bring up Magneto. Everything about this pack is perfection. I mean, they not just his cards. They added in leadership cards that feel like you're acting like
It's
Magneto.
true.
Like there's this one leadership card called Noble Sacrifice. Yeah. You're just discarding allies. It's such a Magneto play to like bring all these people together and then be like, all right, you're going to sacrifice for me so I can. That's right. You've done your duty. And there's a few like that. And then there's Ian. I love every card in his kit. There is not a bad card. And
yeah, they're good.
Just as a bonus, it's not even the best play, but it's so fun. The fact that I can wrap a minion in metal and then just throw them around like a rag doll is so great. I love this kit. I love this hero in this pack. Magneto is so much fun, both thematically and from a actual gameplay performance perspective.
I agree. I was looking at Magnetic Missile. The artwork is very similar to one that they put into the villain version of him. That's a card. You basically he takes a sentinel and then throws it at you. Where this, you get to take a minion and throw it at the villain. So
exactly. That's so cool. Like to keep up with that detail. So
no, he's awesome. He's a really good hero to play and a villain to play against. So overall, Magneto, they knocked him out of the park.
Hey, they know what they're doing there. That's for sure. All right. If you had to, let's pick a wave. So final answer, which wave would you go with?
What is our criteria here?
No. Just whatever you think.
Just pick a wave as my favorite?
Yeah. What's your favorite wave?
Are we including the scenario packs?
I don't think so. We're just talking about heroes right now.
If we're talking strictly scenario packs.
No, not scenarios.
Hero packs or heroes. Man, I can't believe this is tough because I really like Wolverine, Storm, and Gambit. But I don't know if I can actively choose an X-Men wave.
How ironic would that be?
How much I don't like the X-Men stuff, but
But that wave is so good.
I think I will say wave 6 because I know which one you're going to pick. So,
oh, interesting.
I don't know. I feel like I know which one you're going to pick. But I will say that because Gambit and Wolverine, those are the X-Men characters that I actually do know. And they feel like those characters. And Wolverine is one of my favorite characters, like spanning across all, like he's my favorite. I don't like X-Men as a whole, but Wolverine is one of my favorite. And he feels like Wolverine. So I have to pick him.
I think they do a great job in Wave 6 of hitting the highlight characters. Like, if you are not deep into X-Men, but you know a little bit, Wave 6 is the way to go.
Absolutely.
Buddy, I know you want me to say Wave 5, but I think I'm going to say Wave 3.
Whoa.
Wave 3. And I think, here's what I'll say. I just really like the variety of Wave 3. It's each hero feels so different.
That's true. They do.
And they do very different things. And I like Wave 5, for example, like Ironheart and Spider are both builders. Now, and then Spider-Ham and Nova feel like these OP, like slightly chaotic, like just going to blow everything up kind of situations. But Wave 3 is just this wonderful variety of different play styles and different heroes and different cards within their packs. So if it was me, I don't know, man. Like Wave 3 is so solid for me. That's how I feel about it.
Definitely, in my opinion, I would say that Wave 2, if you're starting out, has the characters that adds a little bit of depth and a lot of fun, and the villains are
sure.
It's the next step. But if you're like, okay, I can like totally handle this, I would say, Wave 3 adds a lot of depth to the heroes, but also the villains are also like this next kind of growth as well.
So do you have a favorite hero? And it doesn't have to be within your wave, like just any hero.
Oh, it's so hard. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pick a true favorite.
We'll pick a couple.
Yeah, I mean,
like just toss
I
out
think
2 or 3.
Wolverine I've had the most fun playing Wolverine. I think what he's able to do is just something that you can't see from other areas. We talked about Venom. I think I had a lot of fun with his kit. And then I'm going to go all the way back, man. We're going to go all the way back. Captain America.
Dude, it's so good. Captain America's
Captain
broken.
America
He's so
is the everything you want in a Marvel character. He has the I can do this all day ability. And then the shield is fantastic. I still think he's one of the strongest. Doctor Strange is also really, really, really good. But in all of these characters I mentioned, I think Nightcrawler is one of my new favorites. I think he's fantastic. But I think going back, like all the way to even, I think there's one from every wave that if you're like, you have to play that one for the rest of your life, I think I could be okay with that. There's like almost one from every wave that I could be like, okay, I would be okay with that. Overall, they're all really good. There's characters all across the board that are all great, but definitely those specific ones. What about you?
I think Magneto is definitely like recency bias, but he's so good. I was blown away. So he's one of my favorites. I will say that, dude, I still think Spider-Woman to this day is some of the most fun that I've had in that game. So that one's really good. And then there's one more I'm trying to decide between a couple.
There's just so many now.
I think, man, Nova was just so busted, and it was so fun to play. Not like a forever. I don't think I could play Nova forever.
The Nova, Ironheart, Spider-Ham are so broken.
But it was so much fun, man. It was so broken in a fun way.
They are. All 3 of them are so broken, but it's so good.
Yep.
Even that's this whole wave 5. You have the Gwen Stacy and Miles Morales.
I forgot about Gwen too. I love that.
Really good.
Wave 5 is so strong.
They're both really, really good. Like that again. That Cycle 5 is an excellent series, which is crazy. So I will say, as we're getting along, there, we're getting late into this episode, but we're talking about a game that has been going on a long time, and they're still producing characters that are really, really fun to play. That says a lot about design.
I agree. So we'll touch really quick on scenario packs that are different from the big campaign boxes. So you got Green Goblin, Wrecking Crew, Once and Future Kang, the Hood, and Mojo Mania. Yes. So these are like either one-off scenarios that bring a lot of cards into the mix, or they're like 2 or 3 scenarios within the same villain. And I think these are super fun.
They're amazing.
4 out of 5 of these knock it out of the park. I think Wrecking Crew is a little bit
That's
soft,
the one that I would stay away from out of all of them.
but the other 4 are fantastic.
I think, do you have a favorite since we could?
Dude, Mojo Mania was so fun.
That's a good one.
I know that I know which one is yours. But I mean, yeah, I think Mojo's a little bit stronger than Green Goblin, but Green Goblin was also really, really fun too.
The Green Goblin was awesome. I think if you're starting out, the Green Goblins definitely get that one first.
100%.
The Kang Dynasty it makes you feel like you're playing Kang. He's coming at you from different universes and he pulls you into these different timelines.
Kang's nuts. It's like a
Kang is nuts.
We played this one time as 4-player game. I'll never do it again. It's so much.
It's you're talking about an experience. It's an experience.
Yep.
And all these games are experiences. The Kang though, it's like adds an extra hour because of the madness, and it's so good.
That's right. Would you recommend one scenario or a campaign box over another?
Especially for new people. I mean, the Red Skull is great. But if you're like, I'm okay with kind of diving into maybe like a little bit more. The Sinister Motives is good. Yeah,
it is so good.
The Sinister Motives is that good. I think the villain is really, really hard at the end. So you get this balance of like some really good villains, thematic villains, really strong. But then you have the guy at the end. The next one would be the Mad Shadows Titan. Those are the 2 that I like the most.
Yeah, I really like it's hard, right? Because it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for a great campaign, it's probably going to be Mad Titans or Sinister Motives.
Right.
If you're looking for great heroes, then Sinister Motives 100%.
Yeah, or going back to like the Red Skull.
Well, yeah, but I think Red Skull is a really good like overall package.
Yeah, it is.
Where it's a decent campaign, it's great villains, it's great heroes. I really enjoy that box. And there is nothing in this game that's made me feel a certain way like the Snap and Mad Titan Shadow.
That's true.
It just it has not been replicated
That's true.
in any box.
Yeah.
So
some of the villains have done things that are very similar to their comic, but nothing like that.
Yep, for sure. Okay, man. Well, we have gone long.
Yeah.
But I think it's been a fun discussion.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everyone, to our madness.
Hopefully you enjoyed this conversation a little bit and that you jump into the world that is Marvel Champions.
Yeah.
And maybe you'll go see Captain America for Valentine's Day. Who knows?
There you go.
If you have feedback or want to give us your thoughts on the game, we would love to hear from you. Links to our socials are in the description. If you don't like socials, I get it. Check out our website at thegametailpodcast.com, shoot us an email at thegametailpodcast@gmail.com, or find us on Board Game Geek. All these links are also in the description. 5-star reviews, subscribing in your podcast player of choice, following us on socials, if that's your thing, and joining the conversation on Discord. All of these heroic actions are immensely helpful in growing this podcast. Special thanks to Angie Santiago for our cover art, and to Anna Snyder who made the intro and outro music. Join us next week as we head back over to the kids' table. In the meantime, may your dice rolls and your card draws be blessed, and your experiences at the table be ones to remember forever.
I am inevitable.